there was a moment, even in my marriage, when I felt some emptiness. Hey y'all, Bisi here. You're listening or watching the Legit Podcast. Do me a solid and stop shacking up with the podcast and commit. Hit that subscribe button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or watching on YouTube. So those of you who do not know, I was married, and one thing I did realize post-divorce was the fact that there was a moment, even in my marriage, when I felt some emptiness. And so I do believe that for the first bit of our marriage, we were actually happy. We were, the honeymoon phase, and finances was not really an issue. We were living in a beautiful state in a really beautiful home, and we didn't really have any problems until after a while. I did start to feel some emptiness. And if you followed my story, I do say that in those moments I wasn't in school. I wasn't able to complete school, and I was job hopping, and I didn't have jobs that really fed into my career. And so even though the marriage was good, I still felt some emptiness. And so what I do want to talk about today is filling a void. And so what I did do was found my identity in my marriage instead of God. And so I had a come to Bisi moment, a come to Jesus moment, then a come to Bisi moment, that there is one person that I am guaranteed to live with for the rest of my life, and that's me. There is one person that you are guaranteed to be with for the rest of your life, and that's you. And so if she's not enough, if sitting with her and having time with her and being with her is not enough, no one ever will be. In the same way, if going to God to give us grace and strength and love and joy and peace is not enough, no one will ever be able to do that, because God comes in when our natural ability no longer suffices. And not just our natural ability, but everybody else around us. Our job, our spouse, our family members, our friends can only give so much. But that void, we tend to usually fill it with stuff that are fleeting. A void is an emptiness in one's heart or soul. And sometimes it can grow deeper when there's a loss or a disconnection from our jobs, from our spouses, our loved ones, our friends, or just from not being in tune with ourselves. Sometimes we tend to fill a void by working too much, seeking out attention, or entertaining attention, sexing it up, drugging it up, alcohol, entertainment. Rumi, a poet's quote goes like this: I said, what about my eyes? He said, keep them on the road. I said, what about my passion? He said, keep it burning. I said, what about my heart? He said, tell me what you hold in it. I said, pain and sorrow. He said, stay with it. The wound is the place where the light enters you. A lot of the times we fill wounds and these voids and this emptiness with things that just mask it for a moment, and just for a moment, but it doesn't heal or cause us to actually sit with it and go through it. However, the wound and that emptiness is exactly where the light enters us. Now, maybe, just maybe, I want us to think about the fact that maybe we don't miss the job, maybe we don't miss the person, maybe the disconnect is because we don't know how to identify who we are without these things, without a degree, without money, without stuff, without a person validating us, without a job making us feel like we are worth something. When we're whole, we feel a sense of fulfillment, joy, peace, love that no outside person or thing can replicate. What happens is the circumstances that happen or don't happen around us and outside of us only heightens what we already feel on the inside of us. Dealing or addressing our voids and our brokenness is not weakness, it's reality. We have to unlearn the things that we have clung to or have attached ourselves to us that we didn't ask to be and are unhealthy, and relearn things that actually feed into the core of who we are and who God actually calls us to be. Now, if you take an injury, for example, if an athlete or you injure your leg, you have something gets fractured, or your bone is broken, or something happens, you're in immense pain. And what happens is, physical therapy is recommended, if not surgery. Sometimes physical therapy is recommended, and physical therapy is painful. Surgery is painful, but you're already in pain. And so would you rather not go through the pain of having to sit through surgery or physical therapy, for the pain not to last any longer, than to sit with the pain for a long period of time and just mask it with different kinds of things? Now, what can help us fill that void or sit with ourselves and go through the funk and the pain? It's not fun. It really sucks. But as described before, it is pain that you have to go through for a while, and then it's no longer there because you've dealt with it. And so accountability helps. While we can get broken or get hurt within community, it is also community that actually builds us up. Accountability is one of the things that can help. Now, I've realized that as we grow, the list of trusted and true friends that we have shrivels up real quick. As life be lifing, as life does happen, we shed. As we grow, we shed. And so there's only a set number of people that we can actually trust. And so having a trusted friend or a trusted group of people that can actually be honest with you and ask you all the hard questions can actually help. The second thing is to block out time to actually be with yourself. Now, it's one thing to just say that, well, okay, today I'm going to do something, or I'm going to sit with myself and figure out what's going on, or write down what's going on. Blocking out time actually helps, and maybe even writing down that today at this time, I'm going to stop and actually sit with myself and ask myself questions with what's going on. Why do I do what I do? Why do I feel this emptiness and this void? And of course, spending time with God, because He's the only true person that can fill up that emptiness. The third thing is celebrating yourself. Now, if you look back at your life, and I believe if you're listening or watching this podcast, it means you want to do better. It means you want to learn. It means you want to not make mistakes, right? Whilst mistakes are inevitable, the things that you can avoid, I always say, if we can leap over things that we can, let's do that. We don't always have to go the long road or the hard road. And so celebrate yourself. If you take a look back at your life, you have come through some things. You have overcome some things. And so just celebrate yourself for those things that they call small wins. I think they're huge, because life is hard as it is. Another thing is, instead of looking for ways to fill the void, and so whatever that may be in entertainment, sometimes exercise, sometimes our jobs can actually fill those voids too. It can be a way to distract us from actually sitting with ourselves. And so there's a time and a moment for even those healthy stuff. But if we don't do introspection, literally sit down and say, Bisi, what's going on with you? Why do you do this? Why do you react like this? Why are you feeling this disconnect? What did they say? What is it that they felt when they were there? What were they masking? Just asking all these questions can help. But then instead of turning to all these other things to fill the void, you should actually go out and serve. Now, sometimes I've realized that the moments where I need an encouraging word, I would give an encouraging word. And sometimes in that moment, it actually ends up serving me. I'm like, wow, man, I needed this. I didn't even know I needed it. And so I call it serving others serves you. And so when you go out and actually serve exactly what you need, And so when you go out and actually serve, it doesn't have to be what you need or what you want yourself. It just means giving yourself of what you actually can, giving of yourself, your time, your resources, your listening ear. If you can, if you do have the strength and the ability to, you realize that it actually ends up serving you. Because and this is not to trivialize anybody's struggle, but what you realize is you begin to come to the realization that, man, everybody's going through something, and what I'm going through, like, I can handle what I'm going through. That's why I'm going through it. God has actually given me the grace and the strength to do that. And also spending time with God, man. Like when we write, after writing down or sitting down with ourselves and saying that, okay, this is what went on and this is how I'm feeling. The Bible, they say, is the only thing that you read that reads you back, that corrects things. It's supposed to encourage us and prune us and just shed all the dead, right? Take out the weeds and just make us as whole and mold us into who God wants us to be as much as possible. Also, one thing I want us to think about is the question, do you want to remain as you are for the longest time? Like seriously, the Bible says that God grew in wisdom and in stature. And we don't want to be looking back at our lives and saying, man, yeah, I grew physically, I grew in age, my body grew, but I haven't grown spiritually. I'm not in tune with my emotions. I don't know what's causing this void. It means I'm not spending enough time with God and myself, right? No one ever will be enough. Nothing will ever be enough. All these things only masks the wound. And as Rumi said, the wound is the place where the light enters you. And I can really attest to that, because the times where I actually had to do introspection that was not fun, those were the moments where I realized, wow, Bisi, you can actually let go of this and do this. You can actually start this. You can actually help this person. Well, this is what's going on, and this is where it's from. Well, you're not spending enough time with God, who gives you peace no matter what. Life has a lot of troubles, and worrying does not rid life of its troubles, right? As the Bible said. And so feeding ourselves with the truth really combats all these voids, because we know that, because God has already given us that truth. So don't choose what is easy. It is always easy to choose what is comfortable. It is always easy to just grab that remote, grab that drink, hit up that person. It is always easy, but choose to do what is hard, what is uncomfortable, because that is the only way that we grow and we shed off things that are unnecessary. I also do want you to think about the fact that when we have an unhealthy system for our dysfunction or the void that needs to fill. And what I mean by that is, well, anytime I feel bored and I need somebody to hold me and cuddle me and validate me or say something to me that makes me feel good in that moment, I'm gonna hit somebody up. Jumping from person to person, or grabbing that remote in the moment, or grabbing that drink, or whatever it may be, that may work for a while, but it may not work forever. When we have an unhealthy system for our dysfunction, we develop a self-deceptive posture. Well, this is going on for me, and then I can just go back into my day, or go back to work, or go back to living. But it's just a cycle of dysfunction. It's a cycle, an unhealthy cycle, unhealthy system that keeps us in this bubble of everything's okay, and everything is not okay, and it's okay when everything is not okay. So I really want us to think about how we fill our voids with people, with certain conversations that are not fruitful, and really take a step to do what is hard and not what is easy. And it doesn't have to be all at once, just step by step, baby step. Maybe, okay, I feel like I need somebody to cuddle me or hold me right now, but what I'm gonna do is right. What I'm gonna do is call that accountability partner to ask me certain questions. What I'm gonna do is actually just sit and ask myself questions. I'm gonna go for a walk and reflect on my life and the decisions I've been making, and why certain things keep happening. Like, sometimes that's the one thing you need to do to stop certain things that are unfruitful and that make you frustrated, to fill that void and come to an understanding. And more than anything, as mentioned before, spending time with God is the number one way to fill that void, because he gives us double for our trouble, gives us peace, gives us answers, like answers that we can't even think of ourselves, that people can't even give us. I hope this helps somebody today. If you did rock with me till the end, type in the comments void filled, so I know that you rocked with me till the end and your legit self is here and representing. And we would not do what is easy, but we would do what is hard but necessary for us to grow. That's on Bible, that's on legit, and that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. Thanks for watching or listening. Connect with me. It does help me to provide relevant content for you. Until next time, bye.